76 trillion years ago. 76 trillion years ago. Now in the Bible it says, God created the earth and the heavens in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. Those 6 days are symbolic to trillions of years. So the first day would be 1 trillion years, the second day would be 2 trillion years, the third day would be 3 trillion years, the fourth day 4 trillion years, and so on and so forth, so you get to 6 trillion years. Now the first trillion years, or the first day, would symbolize consciousness, God, intelligence, omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience, all of that. That would symbolize the first day. The divine connection that connects us all, manifesting itself from nothing. Basically, thought would be the first day. This intelligence creating what you would call an ethereal body for itself. So something like the ethereal plane, that would be day one. It took 1 trillion years for the thought to manifest the etheric realm, because from the mind and spirituality, all physical things exist. So from the immaterial world, which is thoughts, the material world exists, which is physical being, existence. So that's day one. Day two would be space. From this intelligence, it created space. As science will confirm, space is constantly expanding. The universe is constantly expanding. It's not doing that from its own accord. It's that divine intelligence. What is causing space to expand is what you would pinpoint as God, Allah, Jehovah, or whatever your religion wants to categorize this supreme intelligence as. That is what is causing the universe to expand. That is what what we use to process and analyze life through the 5 senses every day. That consciousness. So day one, that consciousness created the ethereal realm. Day two, it began expanding and creating space. So let me make sure I ain't going too far. Now, day three would be from creating space. Now, as you know, without me going into too many theories or how the universe works, let's just say particles and elements and atoms begin to form. Now you're getting what you call earth, wind, water, fire. Earth is carbon, wind is oxygen, water is hydrogen, fire is nitrogen. These 4 elements make up your DNA. These are why our ancestors went so high with earth, wind, water, fire. Or you always hear Chinese people or always talking about earth, wind, water, fire, the elements. That's because these 4 elements make up your DNA. And your DNA, if you're black, is shielded by melanin. And melanin, as we all know, absorbs frequencies and protects the DNA molecule. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. So now we had 3 trillion years. Now this intelligence, which is God, has formed an ethereal body. Day one. Day two, it started expanding, creating space. Day three, within this space, it started creating the physical realm using the 4 elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. Day four, let me make sure I ain't going too far. Day four, now using atoms and elements, now it expands and it creates the sun. Now the sun, as we all know, gives off photon rays. It charges particles. It gives off gases and it creates planets. So now you have day one, ethereal being. Day two, space is expanding. Day three, you have earth and water, fire elements conjuring up. Day four, the sun. Day five, now you have day five. The sun is giving off light and it's charging atoms, and these atoms begin to create elements such as hydrogen and things like that, which are used to create planets that I'm not going to go into. But just like when you put something into a blender, it begins to mix. So what happens is the gravitational pull of the sun, after creating elements such as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, they begin to mix in outer space, and this swirl creates a planet as these elements bind together, and these elements continue to bind until they get so big that they grow into a planet, and the gravity of that planet keeps all life that are on it. So now that's day five. So day four, the sun was created. That's 1 trillion years. Now we have 4 trillion years. Now day 5 trillion years, planets and everything are manifest within the universe. Now on the 6th day, when they say God rested, now this ethereal spirit, which was day 1, now condenses. Like I told you in my other video, melanin is condensed light. It condenses into a physical being, which is a black man. because when you condense light, it makes melanin, and we know that melanin is black. So we don't have to keep arguing about who is the original man and who is God on the planet Earth. Science tells us this. So now those are the first 6 days. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 4 trillion, 5 trillion, 6 trillion. So now you got the thought that 1 trillion years, 2 trillion years, space is being created. 3 trillion years, earth, wind, water, fire, elements, and DNA start to be formed. And at 3 trillion years, I want to say that that's important because science will prove that the first cell ever in existence did not originate on the planet Earth. It originated in the universe or on an interstellar existence. As science will confirm, it's called a prokaryotic cell, which was the first cell in existence, and this cell evolved and eventually became a black man. You can look it up. The first cell did not exist on the planet. It existed and created itself within the universe, the same place where you see stars at. So now that's what the Bible means by God created heaven and the earth in the 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. So now, hold on, let me make sure I ain't skip nothing. Make sure I ain't going too far. So now these beings who were just etheric beings who condensed into melanated beings or black beings, whatever you want to call them, I refer to them as the Anunnaki. These beings, of course, possess divine intelligence because they're still directly connected with the all, like we could be today if we weren't distracted by religions and other things. So now these beings travel through the universe, blase, 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 blah. Let's skip another trillion years. So we started at 76 trillion years, right? It took 6 trillion years for these beings to manifest themselves. So now we have 70 trillion years. Now let's go skip another 4 trillion years. Now we have 66 trillion years. 66 trillion years ago, on what you call the mothership or planet X, which is really Nibiru, which is really a ship. It's a spaceship, and I'll go into that later. It crashed into a planet, and it also crashed into planet Earth. And in doing so, it projected the moon from the planet Earth. The ocean is really the crater where the moon used to be. It's like a cavity in the earth. And that's why if you look at the moon, like if you look at a lake sits still. The moon doesn't really pull on a lake. It pulls on the ocean because it's trying to get back to where it once was. That's why the moon creates waves, and the moon influences the water of the ocean. If you put a cup outside, a cup of water outside, the moon not really gonna pull on the water in the cup, but it constantly pulls on the ocean because it's trying to get back to where it used to be. So 66 trillion years, the moon was blue from the planet Earth. They've actually found gunpowder on the moon, not today type of gunpowder that you would use, but powder to indicate that it was some type of explosion. And when you look in the science book, it says, oh, scientists believe that some type of explosion happened to cause the moon to leave the earth, but they're not really sure, because you know white people were never really sure about anything that they know and don't want you to know. So now let me make sure I'm going in order. So now these beings live or what you would say made their home in the 19th galaxy, which is Orion's belt. So you can treat, let's just say Orion's belt is like a sign, like you're driving on a highway, and let's say you wanted to go to the mall and it said get off here. Orion's belt is just like a map in the sky that says get off here to go to the Orion's belt. And this is why the pyramids are lined up exactly 33 degrees latitude and longitude with the Orion's belt, because they're like beacons when you land on the earth to let you know where you are. The latitude and longitude lines of the earth are just address points for UFOs when they fly, to know where they are on the earth and navigate. And some people call them dragon lines, key lines, ley lines, but they're just, not only do they give off certain energies as depending on where you are on the planet earth, they also are like how your car got navigation, they can tell you where you are. Well, those are how UFOs navigate and know exactly where they are on the planet earth. But continuing on, a war went on in the 19th galaxy on the Anunnaki home planet, our ancestors' home planet, which is called planet Risk, and the ozone layer was damaged and almost destroyed. So they needed the element of gold in order to restore it. So they started searching the universe, and they came here to the 18th galaxy where we are today on the planet Earth. And as you can see, Africa is highly abundant of gold and all kind of jewelry. So they started mining for the gold. But what they did was they said, we're not going to mine for this gold. We're just going to create a people who can do this for us, who can help us help us do this, and in return we're gonna teach them the sciences of the universe. This is where the African race comes in, because now, hold on, let me make sure I'm not going too far. Now what they did was, before I even come up to date, dinosaurs, what they did was they needed to secure the planet. And before people get ready to watch this video and you feel like dinosaurs ain't real, I used to feel the same way until I did my research. Dinosaurs were most definitely real. There's actual dinosaur skeletons and fossils on Mars. There's also pyramids on the planet Mars. The ancient Mayans and Incas wall that they created in South America is actually on Mars. The same exact wall. You can go on Google and look it up and look at the NASA pictures of these same things. So black people were actually at one point in time on Mars, building the same structures that they built here, and dinosaurs were as well. So what happened was, the Anunnaki brought dinosaurs basically to this planet, bred them so that they could protect the planet for a certain amount of years until they returned, so that other beings and species wouldn't inhabit the earth. So basically the dinosaurs were being used as like guard dogs so that other entities wouldn't inhabit this planet while the Anunnaki was waiting to return, so that they ozone layer could be fixed. So once they finally like they say, like, dinosaurs are said to existed 165 million years ago from today, but they went extinct 65 million years ago. Now here's where this gets important. Make sure I'm not going too far. Now here's where this gets important, because Anunnaki comes back, they extinct the dinosaurs, they destroyed them. Didn't no coincidental meteor just hit. It was a planned execution so that human life could take place. Now black humans specifically actually were created and coexisted with dinosaurs. Before I go into the facts, I mean these anthropological facts and comparisons, you can go right now on Google and look it up. They have volcanic ashes that have footprints in them right next to dinosaur fossils and bones, that they found in volcano ash, that proves that man walked right alongside dinosaurs. Now with that being said, now it says dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. But according to anthropology, human evolution, what they call the Cretaceous period, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's spelled Cretaceous. Go look it up. That period, the Cretaceous period, or Cretaceous period, however you say it, says the first man emerged from primates 85 million years ago. So if dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago and the first man came 85 million years ago, then that means man had a 20 million year run alongside dinosaurs. Now watch me show them proof. The Anunnaki used certain chromosomes from the reptiles of the dinosaurs to help construct the physical body of what you call today the African, and also from primates. A gorilla has 98 chromosomes. If you take 2 of those chromosomes away from a gorilla, he will then be a human being. Go look it up. Reptilian DNA was used in the genetic splicing to create the African race. This is why we have webbed hands. This is why the first layer of your brain, they call it the reptilian. The reptilian part of your brain. This is why when you're when you're ashy or you're dry, your skin actually looks scaly. So this is why these sciences come into play. Now, study anthropology, look at the evolutions of the Homo species and how we were genetically being engineered and geared. At one point in time, as we all know, there was only women on the planet, and then the Anunnaki goddess Ninti took 2.8% of her chromosomes away to make it defective and create a Y chromosome, in which she created man from woman. So reverse Adam and Eve story, which is the truth. And now we get to Homo erectus. Homo erectus just means standing tall. So now people are standing tall or walking upright according to anthropology, which I believe we already were walking upright, but whatever. So Homo erectus. The oldest Homo erectus bones found were 1.9 million years ago. The earliest or latest were 76,000 years ago, most recent. Now, why is this important? Because we are not Homo erectus today. We are Homo sapiens, which is an upgraded version of Homo erectus. The oldest Homo sapien bones are found 2,000 years ago. And then science tries to tell you, oh yeah, the oldest black person is 2,000 years ago. When y'all found Lucy's bones and all kind of bones that outdate or come close to Homo erectus. But now with that being said, according to our black ancestors, the Sumerians and Egyptians, about 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki helped in the genetic upgrading of human beings. Now this would explain why the Homo erectus just all of a suddenly upgraded in his genetic species straight to a Homo sapien. Now, this would explain exactly why. Anthropology and its science will coincide exactly with what our ancestors have written in the Sumerian text and in the pyramid text and in hieroglyphics. Now, coming up to date, skipping that, now you have black people on the planet, and due to not extraterrestrial interference, but I would say ancestral assistance, now we are what you call Negroid or Africanoid or African. This is now you have the African race in full effect on the planet. Now I'm gonna skip thousands of years and bring it up to date and get to up to date history. So now what you have is, let's start at